Hey guys, my name is Perplexion and welcome back to another video. This type of video today, while it is a commentary video, falls outside my usual content. Today, we're going to go ahead and talk about a pretty problematic content creator in the Pirate101 community, the fearsome rubber ducky. Recently, Mike has already covered a lot of stuff he has done, so if you haven't watched his video already, I do so first before watching mine. I'll link it down below in the description. I'm talking about him because for one, I kinda wanted to make another commentary video, and more importantly, too, there have been some things that Mike has missed in his video that I like to address. This having to do with me and another content creator, CB the Scare. I was debating on making this video because I am a bit younger, but KingsIsle's not doing anything about him and other problematic players for years on end kinda peeved me a lot. And so, I had a choice. Either say something and at least garner a bit of attention towards the situation, or just stay complacent and silent, letting this go under the rug. Of course, I'm not going to be choosing that, so I'll have the former. I don't want this video to be too long, as while this section will be about him and his friends, they won't be the main topic of today's video, so I'll try to make this as short and well explained as possible. Without further ado, let's get started. So, remember when I talked about myself for a bit? Yeah, while he hasn't directly wronged me, I will still include this because this is disgusting regardless. So, I just want to give you a small warning beforehand of pedophilia and other sexual stuff that will be mentioned. And mind you, this all was said when I was 16, just starting out on my Pirate101 content creation journey. So, like I said, CB and I are pretty good friends, right? Even pretty good friends a few months after I first started my channel. Unfortunately, I did run into the slight roadblock of word names in these two screenshots, so it's up to you whether you want to take my word for it or not, as I do have screens that are more concrete and related to the situation. Now, you might be wondering why they're blurred or crossed out. Apparently, a regular or whoever took screenshots of these guys saying some heinous stuff about CB and I, knowing I was a minor at the time and he was a legal adult, and just blurred their names. Have no idea why they did that. Don't know if it's just to taunt whoever was gathering evidence or whatever, but yeah. I believe this was also allegedly in their PvP server, PvP Central, according to a Mo. Either that or Ducky's server, for I'm pretty sure it was PvP Central. I'll sum those two up. For a while, there was something called hashtag CuckCB that these guys made up, assuming out of jealousy or hatred or whatever. Basically, these guys would fantasize about me and CB being together, which is where the pedophilia warning came from. And not only that, but me having sex with a KingsIsle's employee while on my FaceTime CB. Therefore, cucking him. Now you might be wondering, who the hell said this? It has been confirmed by Mo, at least for this message alone, that Ducky allegedly was the sender of this. I'm assuming the others in the other screenshots were probably some of his buddies getting in on this, but I may have an idea of who is who in the screenshot. It's unconfirmed, and it'll never be 100% confirmed, as the messages are now deleted, so I won't be saying much more on this. While the screenies are blurred, I do have slightly more concrete evidence to show you. So, if you don't know, in this screenshot, Wicked Jill Pace is Tars, one of Ducky's friends. Jill is Tars' female hybrid buccaneer, at least the last time I saw him. At the time, they were so convinced by themselves that CB and I genuinely liked each other, and they went as far as to call him a pedophile, or at the very least, treat him as such. They even mentioned another Pirate101 content creator, comparing him to him, pretty much, who once got exposed for child predation before. Noodle. Mind you, I was friends with both content creators at the time, and while I could confirm CB is indeed not a predator, Noodle was, but I didn't know at the time. Tars in the screenshot says he'll ensure CB doesn't date me, and with this random ship name, X Free the Scare, which I will say is a horrible ship name, was getting popular. Not popular to the point people in a Discord server knew, well, the main Discord server, but popular to the point it was starting to get out of hand with Connor's online presence. And mind you, people were actually starting to believe this, with there's zero evidence of any potential grooming involved. All they had was an of-age guy being good friends with a 16, 17-year-old. You might think they did that in good faith, but doing this type of stuff without sufficient evidence can ruin someone's life if it gets bad enough. Not to mention Tars said he wouldn't falsely accuse CB of being a pedophile or pedo apologist because that's, quote, insane. But he did so anyway. Which means all these guys knew dang well there was stuff wrong with CB's and I's friendship. They just wanted an opportunity to bring him down. While those Discord screens I showed earlier are blurred, I do have one more from when the entire situation with said screenshots spiraled into chaos, specifically in the Atmoplex server. At first, This is when I and possibly other people thought Tars was the sender of the original Discord message, and honestly, with these free in-game screenies, I was quite surprised that apparently wasn't the case. He never said who actually said it, but he also never denied it came from his circle, at least the screenshot that remains, since all of his messages were deleted upon his ban. I will say, while it is funny to some people to dog on Ducky no matter what he does, and while I do think all this energy towards Connor comes from hatred and jealousy, in all seriousness, I do think this type of attitude not only towards Connor, but towards other cuts to careers in the Pirate101 community, stems from some sort of unresolved psychological issues. I'm not trying to be a psychologist here, I'm being dead ass. Not saying this only out of disgust and concern, but pity. Now, I don't mean I feel bad for this guy, and I ain't making excuses for him. More like I tend to feel massive secondhand embarrassment knowing people like this are in communities like this one where children are supposed to feel safe. There are people who actually walk around acting like this and not be embarrassed in the slightest. This is not normal behavior. The alleged child predation, constant sexualization of minors, homophobia, racism, transphobia, obsession he has with certain content creators who just want to go about their day, sexism, and others that I'll mention out loud in this video. I don't know how someone can reach this point of no return. Only to change for the better, always doubling down, tripling down, even quadrupling down. You're telling me we have someone in the community like this where it's aimed at kids? They need help. Actually, either that or it's genuinely like this. And I suppose Mike's video has garnered decent enough attention to the point that Ducky and his top mod, Breaker, are attempting damage control. So I suppose using AI to make fun of people minding their business is all fun and games, until more and more people realize how much he sucks. Now, aside from Ducky and all those other people I talk about in this video, let me tell you some experiences I had in that Pirate101 Discord server. At this point, I've shown everything I wanted to show, so if you want to click out the video now, feel free, or if you want, you can stay. It doesn't matter to me. I know I've been all happy and cheery about both servers, but I never went over my negative experiences because they were never necessary to bring up. I dislike bringing them up. But for this video, I think now is the perfect time. In there, since I was 16, I would receive harassment there of some sort, mainly from older men. Of course, most older people were kind and I'm still friends with some said older people. But there will be loads of people being weird to younger people. Me usually being a target of said weirdness. I've had someone try to groom me in there. I've had people be bold enough to talk to me crazy in general chat or whatever other channel in there, and at times, some of those interactions will be mob-mailed. I received ableist, sexual, flat-out rude, and worse messages from people, and most of the time, nothing will be done about said people. Mind you, the only thing that wasn't directly in the server was the grooming portion I mentioned. Not gonna say any names, not gonna tell fully detailed tales about any situation. I'm just gonna say, while I left the Pirate101 server, I've seen a poor protection of minors firsthand. There was a guy who would harass me and nothing will be done until he did something that involved another minor. Why is one minor not enough? Why does harassment ever have to happen to multiple for something to be done? Sure, failed to protect me at 16, 17 years old, but believe it or not, there's kids in that server. And in Discord too. For a very small percentage, the protection of him still matters. I'm going to need not only KingsIsle's, but the mod team members, of course not all of them, they know who they are, to do better. I've seen all of it firsthand. Why have the only people who would defend me, be there for me, be my older friends? Why would it take multiple mob meals for something to be done? I get it, there might be a process. I love both games and communities, I really do. But I already debated making this video alone because I know once I hit that upload button, the harassment might start all over again by yet another group of grown-ass men. And now you're probably like, okay, this is optional, so why'd you go through with it? Because I care. I care about children and people my age's safety. I care about both games and servers and the communities. I was scared to make this, but I realized people's safety and comfort are a lot more important than my fear of harassment. I'm not sure where I'd be about the bot button, honestly. I know not many people are probably going to talk about this, so I'm going to be one of the few. I'm not saying KingsIsle's doesn't care, but it sure feels like they don't. I love making Pirate and Wiz content, but I'm not going to turn my back and pretend nothing is happening. At the end of the day, that's me being complacent with what's going on, and while I may be a lone voice, this lone voice is going to stand for what's right, even if nothing comes out of this. If you're not going to protect me and some of my friends around my age, then the least you can do is make sure the younger people, hell people in general in these communities are protected much better than I ever was in my years of being in these communities. Nobody deserves a burden to feel like their voice is unheard. I want customer service reform, especially for Pirate101. There are many ways to keep people discouraged from these communities, and not getting rid of constantly problematic people for years is one of them. Please, KingsIsle's, do better.